Hey everybody, it's Sean here from VidGamiac.com. Here we are today back in Dead by Daylight going for the Adept Wraith achievement. This is to get a merciless killer with the Wraith only using his unique perks. This one's going to be done from the killer side. You're going to want to play as the Wraith for this. You are going to get him to at least a minimum of level 10 in order to have 3 open perk slots. These are going to be the perks that you want to use. You want to make sure you use Predator, Bloodhound, and Shadowborn. Make sure you leave the 4th slot empty if you have that available to you, and you can do whatever you want for add-ons and offerings. Once you have your gear set up, make sure you start up the game. The Wraith is going to be a very easy killer to learn how to play the game with early on. The reason for that is his ability is going to be super simple. You're going to start out invisible, and while you're invisible, you're going to move super duper fast, so Wraith's main game is going to be map control. The downside to being invisible, though, is you cannot swing your weapon, so you cannot attack people when you are cloaked. So whenever you spot your first person, you are going to have to uncloak, and then you should be able to chase them like normal. The uncloak process does take a little while, so be a little careful on the in-between time between cloaking and uncloaking, but it's going to be a good way of patrolling the map early on, and then once you get down to your chases, you are going to have to rely on your Dead by Daylight fundamentals. That being said, in a normal chase situation, the Wraith isn't going to be too good since he's just going to be your typical killer with typical movement speed and attack range, so no real gimmicks with this. So my best advice for the Wraith is to just use the cloak to patrol the map in between engagements, and whenever you do come up against the survivors, just make sure you stick to the basics and then try to go for your regular attacks and your regular downs and of course your regular hooks. Thankfully, you are going to be building up a ton of chases with this killer simply because he's not so good at downing people super quick, but that's going to fill out that necessary category that we need towards the merciless killer rating. So other than that, you just want to kind of stick to the game. If you are brand new to Dead by Daylight, this is going to be a good way of learning each of the maps since you are able to move so fast between engagements if you are cloaked. So to get the most out of the Wraith, you want to make sure you keep your map awareness high and pay attention to where survivors are. Take advantage of your super speed and try to get there as quickly as possible. The Wraith's perks aren't going to be super good in a fight, however, they are going to be a little useful in finding the survivors. You should be able to see scratch marks a lot easier whenever cloaked, so that should help you locate any survivors who may be nearby. So what you want to do is want to make sure you try to establish their position, and then make sure you uncloak when it's reasonable to, and then get to the fundamental chase, and then hopefully you should be able to damage and down them, bring them to a hook, and then move on to the next part. So once you pop them on a hook, make sure you quickly get away and then just continue the loop. Make sure you cloak and then just move on to your next engagement. You definitely don't want to camp because we will be penalized for that, which will count against us for that category for the merciless. With that being said, you can use the cloak in a normal chase in order to help you close the distance. A good example is if the survivor you are chasing is really far away, what you can do is you can cloak, use your super speed to catch up to them, and then once you are right next to them, what you want to do is you want to come out of cloak. They should get some of their distance back because of the time it takes you to uncloak. However, if they were really far away, you can close the distance to a reasonable chase distance, and then just keep up on your fundamentals this way. Also, to add on to that, the Wraith's map control gameplay is going to be very useful in the late game, simply because once you get down to fewer generators, being able to move quickly in between all of them is going to help out a bunch, so that way you have a better chance to control the map once the map shrinks down a bit in terms of playing area. Also, when you're down to the last survivor, Wraith is going to be able to outrun anyone in search of the hatch when it does pop up. So once you are down to your last person, make sure you quickly put cloak on, and then you want to make sure you scour the map, and then you should be able to find the hatch before the last person more times likely than not, simply because you can move so fast and you can cover so much ground quickly. Make sure you close the hatch, and that's going to start the end game timer. And also because of your super speed, you should be able to dance between the 2 exit gates a lot more efficiently. So you should be able to spot whatever exit gate the last survivor is going for, and then hopefully you should be able to punish them before they can make their grand escape. In a one-on-one situation where you can only focus on one survivor, the Wraith is going to be very good because you can always put cloak on to catch up to them if they do build up enough distance. Then once you come out of uncloak, you should be back at a reasonable chase distance. Make sure you down them and then pop them on a hook. That should give you the quad sacrifice. Hopefully you have enough points in all of the other categories to warrant the merciless, but once you take the win, we should be good for the achievement once we get past the results screen. So once you get to said results screen, screen, you can check what you need to improve on by hitting right bumper once and then looking at the 4 various categories. Whatever you need to improve on, make sure you work on that the next attempt, and then once you get your merciless, you should be good for the achievement. It's going to be for 20 gamer score, and that's all there is to it.